Linus Tech Tips coverage of Computex 2013 is powered by Western Digital. Our trusted gaming gear partner is Corsair Vengeance, and our trusted retail partner is ncix.com. Welcome to the Cooler Master booth. We're going to start with cases here. This right here is the Elite 130, which, as you might have noticed, is about 10 more than an Elite 120, but actually doesn't appear to have changed in size much. Extremely efficient use of space is the name of the game with these Elite MITX cases. Ow, I put my finger in a fan. Thank you very much. My lovely assistant will help me take the front bezel off. So you might have noticed the key difference here is that the front, where we have this 120 millimeter cooling fan, is now completely open in terms of ventilation. This is going to give you better cooling on the inside of the case. Also, check this out. Fan, rad, fan, hard drive. You can fit all of those in. They're basically going to be right up next to each other. So the idea is that in addition to mounting SSDs up here or a 5 1/4 inch here, you can also mount SSDs. I believe there was another spot. Show me where they are. Yes, under the 5 1/4 inch bays. So you have a ton of options in terms of drives. The idea is you should be liquid cooling your CPU. Your power supply is going to have a bottom 120 millimeter exhaust fan that takes the air away from the CPU socket and takes it out of the case. Your graphics card, and you can see they've got a Radeon 7990 in here just to prove a point, just because we can. The sides of the case have ventilation holes, so it's going to be able to suck fresh air directly from the inside. It should be noted that it would be optimal to have a blower design graphics card, but with the way that graphics cards are outputting heat these days with these dual GPU designs, it's not always possible. This right here is the Cosmos SE or Cosmos Mini or whatever you want to call it. There's not really that much mini about it, so maybe that's why they decided to call it the SE. It's still pretty big. That's dual GTX 780s or Titan. Yeah, that looks like 780s in there. And not only that, but check this out. Single 120 millimeter liquid cooler. Okay, yawn. Everything's got that. Dual 120 millimeter radiator up in the top. Yawn. Sort of everyone's got that. Triple 120 millimeter liquid cooling radiator in the front. Okay, now you got my attention. How about all of those at once, as well as retaining support for at least one hard drive? So many users are doing this these days where they're pulling out all the drive cages. You can see they're gone. They're throwing in one hard drive because that's basically all they need unless they get a NAS setup. And there are two hidden SSD mounts at the back. It's got those same rigid carrying handles, so you can move this baby around with you as long as you have the arm strength, which unfortunately I do not. The CM693 has made some evolutionary changes versus the last generation design. So number one, check this out. There's more room for graphics cards because some of what would traditionally be 3.5 inch hard drive cages has been converted to 2.5 inch, which isn't to say that you wouldn't have the option to go 3.5 inch with them. So there are 4 2.5 inch mounts here, 3 3.5 inch mounts here, and they've also made a kind of an interesting change here. Check this out. You can hide your wallet in there. Now no one will see it. They'll break into your house and they'll never find your wallet. The bad news is that if you have a baller gaming machine like this, they're probably going to steal your computer, so they'll get your wallet anyway. So much for that idea, right? Moving right along to the Silencio 352. This is based on the same chassis as the N200, which we've already done an unboxing of. The key difference here is that it's more optimized for silence. So you've got a magnetic cover right here that allows you to close off that. Don't worry, the real one is going to have stronger magnets. It's going to allow you to close off that top panel, noise dampen side panels, as well as a fully blocked off front panel. This does prevent a lot of the noise from reaching the user. And then you can see right here that you can we'll just put that there. We've got the noise dampening material here as well as a removable front fan filter assembly. It's been a while since I've seen, oh no, those are 120 mil. Oh good, I've looked at these. I was like, really? You guys put like 92 millimeter fans in this thing? No, they didn't. Awesome, love it. Moving right along to the next category. Right along to cooling. All-in-one coolers are really evolving at a phenomenal rate. It used to be that you got a thin radiator, you got a 120 mil radiator, and you got no upgradability. The Iceberg is completely different from all of that. So you've got a slightly thicker than the thinnest ones that are out there, 240 mil rad. You've got the upgradability to do pretty much whatever you want. Now these demos were supposed to have graphics cards on them because you can ultimately plug in whichever fittings you feel like, but unfortunately they didn't arrive in time. But what's really cool about this is the fact that these are designed for ease of installation with a couple of pretty cool motherboards. So that's the Maximus 6, oh no, that's the Maximus 5 formula, but don't worry, the Maximus 6 is very similar. And this one right here is the G1 Sniper 5. So this is a custom grade pre-done liquid cooler that I personally think is incredibly cool. Moving right along, we've got, this is neat, this is the Nepton 280/140. So you can actually mount either 140 millimeter or 120 millimeter fans to it. It's got 2 full sets of mounting, and because it uses a slightly thicker than normal radiator, as well as 3/8" corrugated tubing, you're gonna get the advantage of improved airflow. More mass means more cooling, so this is definitely a good thing, as well as the advantage of having this corrugated tubing design that, in spite of the fact that it doesn't have quite the same bend radius as some of the ones that have come into fashion lately, it is extremely good at preventing evaporation of the cooling liquid, so you don't have to worry about ever having to top it up. Now this guy right here is a prototype. This is a Sidon 120D, check that out. There's a fan in the middle with 2 super slim radiators on either side. And rather than, unlike the MCR stack implementation that SwiftTech tried a couple of years ago, this one, it's actually integrated into one unit where the fan actually slides in between, so you don't have to worry about any kind of fussy cabling or tubing or anything like that. The one disadvantage is the radiators are running in serial as opposed to parallel, which might amount to a little bit more flow restriction, but as long as the pump's designed to handle it, we shouldn't be too worried about it. So this is the Nepton 140. I showed you the 280 before, so basically same idea, 140 millimeter radiator, nice thick design, and you can mount either a 120 mil or a 140 mil fan to it. The Hyper 103, as well as the Gemin 2 Mini, this one right over here, are both designed for applications where you might have stuff in the way. For example, these riser power delivery PCBs that ASUS has started putting on their MITx boards, or high-profile memory kits such as these HyperX Predators from Kingston. Last but not least, over here for cooling are the JetFlow 120 mil fans. They have an extremely linear performance curve, so they perform very well at almost any RPM, and they have a very wide RPM range at which they can operate, so anywhere from 800 to 2000 RPM. They come with a couple adapters, they come with some LED lighting effects and all that kind of cool stuff, and it's pretty hard to go wrong. Now on to power supplies. So here's a neat little thing Cooler Master's showing off. Now, we're gonna go through some of the components here, and we've got a fluid dynamic bearing, extremely quiet fan from ProTechnic. To give you guys some idea, there's a very famous brand that's #1 for power supplies in Germany that uses this fan, and they have a very good reputation for being extremely silent, so there you go. There's that. High quality components, so there's a custom DC to DC module, there's Japanese solid capacitors, which are basically more expensive and better and developed for military and server grade applications, ultra flat modular cable systems. All this is very cool. But what I'd like to really talk about is what's on these little displays right here. So this is a Cooler Master power supply, and this is competitor C, and the hint is that it's not competitor Cooler Master, so it's gonna have to be someone else who starts with a C. Now, here's a bit of a lesson about 80 Plus. 80 Plus in its regular form, its bronze form, silver form, gold form, and platinum certification level only accounts for power supply efficiency at 20, 50, and 80% load and 100% load. Oh, crap, I can't remember. Whatever, don't worry about it. It accounts for power supply efficiency down to 20% load, but it doesn't go any lower than that. So the specification can have power supplies that meet the specification above 20% load, but then drop off dramatically. So what Cooler Master has done with the V850 here is they have tuned it for excellent idle power consumption. So you can see here that with 2 identical systems started at the same time, idling at the desktop, they are able to achieve idle power consumption that is up to about, they say once you actually get the desktop going and open up like YouTube or something, it's about a 20 watt difference, but when you're doing absolutely nothing, it's up to about a 7, 8, 9 watt difference between these 2 platforms. To put that in perspective, a fluorescent bulb is gonna draw about 13 watts. So it's pretty much like having an extra light on in your house at all times when you have your computer running if you don't have a power supply that's efficient at low loads. Especially when you consider that, I mean, these are high performance gaming machines. These are Core i7s, these are new Haswell platforms. These look like GTX 680 Lightnings at the very least. They're some kind of Lightning Edition card, but even a high-performance computer now is capable of idling at very low power consumption numbers. And let's face it, even if you have an extreme gaming rig, you're not playing games all the time, so you shouldn't be ignoring your idle power consumption. So this was a really cool demo in Cooler Master's booth. I think we're pretty much wrapped up here. Don't forget, guys, we're powered at the show this year by Western Digital, Corsair Vengeance Gaming Peripherals, as well as NCIX.com. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to Linus Tech Tips for more unboxings, reviews, and other computer videos, and apparently coverage of Computex 2013.